Golden Black Live. Craig Terrill joins us. Brian Newbert is still here. Maybe it's because he wants to, because we like Craig. Craig has been very good to us over the years. We had spent four years working with him while he was a college student. He was our high-paid intern. We were not violating NCAA rules, were we?
No, you guys didn't pay me very well, but I appreciate the experience. There wasn't even an honorary Craig Terrill intern desk when I came into the office today. It was a bit.
I don't know why that didn't happen, but it just didn't.
We do, after the show's over, have some rosters we need you to type in, some photos we need you to alphabetize.
I would love to get
if you
back
could
to
do
that
that,
work,
that'd
yeah.
be great.
I don't think I completed my work when
Actually,
I was here. So.
What I was hoping you could do is dig a ditch and then fill it back in. Can you do that?
Good intern work. Yeah.
We've had a lot of that. Craig, we have been very fortunate over the years to have a very good student group, and I think Craig is actually the only student athlete that we've had, but they've all gone on to do such great things, and you're doing the same thing. Obviously retired from the NFL, living in Lebanon. You coached some high school football. You have 3 children. So you're outmanned in that front, but life is pretty good.
Life's really good, yeah. We just moved this last summer back to Lebanon to be around family. I loved my time in Seattle. Loved playing for the Seahawks. I was fortunate enough just to play for one team in the NFL for
a rarity.
For 7 years. Yeah, it really was. I didn't realize how lucky I was until looking back on it and talking to some of my other teammates that have bounced around team after team. I got in, very similar to my time with Purdue. I got in with a really good staff, a really good group of guys, and we had something special going. Got to play in the Super Bowl, but enjoyed my time there. But my wife Rachel and I decided it would be a good time to move our family back here to be close to all my extended family in Lebanon and be plugged back into Purdue. She actually teaches at Purdue now, so she's a communication professor. So, but love being here.
Yeah.
So how much better is the music scene in Lebanon than Seattle?
Oh, so much better. The grunge thing is long dead. It's really moved to central Indiana.
Yeah.
I was the guy playing John Cougar Mellencamp songs in Seattle.
I know, that's it, man.
I want to be the guy playing Seattle grunge back here in central Indiana. So you can't win either way.
But you've done a lot. I was going to say you're not just a cover guy, though. You've writing your own music as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I grew up playing guitar and loved singing, playing guitar, and then started writing my own stuff. And when I got to a point where it didn't wasn't completely terrible, I decided more as just a hobby than anything. I wanted to get in the recording studio and go down that process and just had a blast doing it. I still have a great group of musicians in Seattle that are in my band. So. Guys that had been doing it for a long time and real professionals, so they made me sound really good, and which was really nice. And then recorded 2 original albums. I think they both have gone aluminum at this point. Sold 200 copies, so we've done well. But really, I had fun with it when I was doing it. So
yeah,
you got a robust NFL career, and you got a lot out of it, and you're in one piece. A lot of guys aren't so fortunate. It would seem like you're well positioned to have much more of a life after football. You feel like your future's still ahead of you, even after your first career is over?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's sore mornings and achy back every now and then, but it's football. You're expected to come out of it a little beat up. Mm-hmm. But I've really stayed pretty healthy throughout my career. More just, I think, the fear of knowing if I got hurt, I was going to get cut, so I couldn't get hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just played that way. So, but I have three daughters that make me continually keep moving, and that's a big help. That's as good as any Tylenol or ibuprofen. That'll keep you pain free.
So fear is a motivator.
Oh, yeah, in certain situations, yeah. I would say throughout my NFL career, I knew that I wasn't a starter. I don't know if I was a bubble guy, but I was towards that bottom of that 53-man roster. So when you live there, for 7 years throughout your career, when somebody gets hurt and they have to make a move, personnel move, and they got to let somebody go, you don't want that to be your name. So find a way to make yourself valuable where you're not going to end up being the guy getting cut.
Yeah.
Did you overachieve in the NFL in your mind? Did you hang on longer and do more in the NFL than you thought you would coming out?
I guess by the average, I'd say so. In my mind, I always wanted to play 10 years and be a Pro Bowler and and win multiple Super Bowls. So I guess it's whatever the dream you have. But I think an average of 2 to 3 years is normal for most guys. So I was pretty blessed to be able to play the 7 years there and to get to experience the kind of games that I got to experience.
So on Super Bowl Media Week, Media Day, how deep was the line behind you at your table for your
Oh, it was
girlfriend?
big. It was big. Yeah, I mean, they set up my name, and I think it stretched outside.
what was that like?
It stretched
I mean,
outside, and the Super Bowl was in Detroit, so it was
Yeah.
really cold for the
Yeah.
media that had to stand out
remember.
there. But Media Day was insane. I mean, it really was.
Is it crazy to experience the whole thing, like the Twilight Zone in some ways?
It
or-
is, especially I think you can narrow. It's very much like a bowl game. So being, it was my second year in the NFL. So being fresh out of college, and we played, and I went to 5 bowl games. So I was used to that experience. So it was very similar to getting on site, getting guys comfortable, and you get the media day early in the week,
Yeah.
and it really is as big of a carnival as anyone describes it,
Yeah.
because no matter what teams are in it, you get media from all over the world, and they ask you questions just to create headlines. So I was lucky that I wasn't a prime interview for anyone, so I could just sit back and enjoy it.
And we can never be accused of doing that here, but go ahead.
Was there like somebody in a banana outfit or anything like that, or a wedding dress asking you questions?
Um,
Because I've always wanted to go to big Super Bowl Media Day dressed like a banana so I could ask somebody a question.
yeah,
It's my dream as a journalist.
you would be perfect at that.
Yes, I
did
would. Thank you.
I did an interview with Gilbert Godfrey at Super
did
Bowl
you?
Media Day. So me and Gilbert did an interview, and I think I was a guy in a Seahawks jersey, so he grabbed something
Yeah.
like he knew who I was, but that was probably like you see people there that you just wouldn't expect.
Was he shouting?
He was always shouting. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
Kids,
good.
Google Gilbert Godfrey.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you don't know who that is.
Those of you that are out there from that standpoint, and you look back at the opportunity to play at that level and go back to your Purdue days, and you came here, you were on the you're a trivia question in the history of Gold and Black, because I think you're the first person on the cover of our recruiting magazine. What do you call it? Gold and Black GBI Future, right?
Ah.
And we'll let you autograph some copies after. But the whole ability to commit to Purdue early, you're one of the first guys in your class, but that experience of making the decision to come to Purdue and then having the experience turn out the way they did, how do you reflect on that now?
It was such a perfect fit for me because I think I had some options as a high schooler. I didn't have a ton of options. I know I didn't want to go too far from home. I grew up loving Notre Dame football.
Yeah.
During that was just they were the good team back then.
Yeah.
In my younger years. They weren't as interested in me. I know I went to camp up there. I came to camp at Purdue. I think meeting the staff here at Purdue was a big game changer for me because, they felt like it was heading in the right direction. They obviously played watching them in the Alamo Bowls in those
Yeah.
years in high school was like, it got you excited as a
Yeah.
football player in high school to see how they played that game, how they played in those bowl games, and where they were heading as a program. So, the names they had on the team, it was a big draw for me. And I wanted to go and win football games. And it was, I know I was also interested in IU as, just from a scholarship standpoint.
Sure.
I had to go look at them. But judging those two programs at that point, I definitely felt like Purdue's trajectory was heading in the right direction.
Do you think Purdue recruited you for defense or secretly as a center?
Well, I made them recruit me for defense. That was maybe one of the only reasons that it was narrowed down at Purdue was a lot of places wanted me to play offense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if Purdue was being honest when they said, yeah, you can come here and play defense, because I know Danny Hope, the O-line coach at that time, had a lot of talks with me afterwards about, hey,
Yeah.
you ever snap the ball? If you ever want to come over and try that? And once you make that move from D-line to O-line, you never go back the other direction. So I wanted to play D-line. It was my passion. I enjoyed both, but defense was really where I wanted to be.
Yeah, it's funny because how much of that really goes on between, obviously coaching staffs have to sit in the same staff rooms, but they do try to recruit guys from time to time from one side or the other, at least quietly.
Yeah.
Winning the hearts and minds, maybe.
Yeah, it's true. You even see it in the NFL now where you see teams take, and I know the Seahawks in particular took a defensive lineman and turned him into a guard. If you can evaluate a guy physically and the way he plays the game and fit him into a certain type of position that you're trying to create, then it can be great for the player because he's going to get playing time and for what the coach is. But I know mentally where I wanted to be was on the defensive side of the ball. So
Yeah, and then having that opportunity to shine in that role. You played with some good guys here too.
Oh, yeah.
One of the best probably the best defense that we certainly in our time of being around Gold and Black. That defense from 2000 to 2003, especially in 2003, a lot of talented players there.
Yeah, we really did. Having Sean Phillips on the line was obviously a huge help for me because I felt like I could pass rush from the inside. He obviously was a talented pass rusher from the outside. Nico is a linebacker. I got to play several years in Seattle with Nico. We got drafted to the same team. So, and then, it's a really fun roster to look back on and be like,
Some personalities.
It really was some personalities, but that's the beauty of football, right? It takes, people from all walks of life, puts them into one situation to win football games. So it worked out. We had the right chemistry and the right group of guys.
Yeah.
Why was that defense so good against the run? Because it was built for speed, and it was under that model of smaller, faster guys, but nobody could run the ball on you.
Yeah, we did it. We moved a lot. I think that was one nice thing is the coaches put us in situations to be successful, and that obviously we weren't just going to line up and go straight on into a Wisconsin O-line or a Michigan O-line and just say, pound for pound, we're going to try to beat you. We had good schemes. Brock Speck did a great job putting us in situations where we're going to be successful, whether it's slanting, whether it's bringing blitzers down, or whatever it was. We had a good plan every week.
And some of my favorite moments are as you as a player, certainly the block kick, and we've talked about this, but the block kick against Wisconsin that if there was one play that delivered Purdue to the Rose Bowl, that maybe 1A, I'll say number one, might have been that Morales. That was a little pass to Seth Morales. But the block, take us through that moment at Wisconsin. It's in overtime, and they're going to line up and try to kick a 58-yard field goal. What do you remember from that situation?
Just to be in, I was a young player. It was my
redshirt freshman.
Redshirt freshman year. So probably didn't know what I didn't know. Just go out there and do whatever I could, and they had a big offensive line. I was really undersized at that point, being that young. I don't even know if I was 270 at that point in my career. So just trying to hold my own, and then was thrust into a situation where I'd never blocked a kick before that in my life, and I've blocked several since. But that was just an opportunity that we saw, and overtime of college football. I think it might have been my first overtime game ever in college football. So I didn't even know if I knew the rules. We won in that situation if we scored on defense. So, but great group that we got pressure inside on such a long kick. You always have a chance of even hitting at the line of scrimmage because they got to kick it so low. But we were way in the backfield, and
it hit you where?
Hit me right in the chest.
Yeah, that's a great story. I mean, and the thud sound. That's what Joe Tiller still talks about. The sound he heard. He said things were looking up in that moment. But good for Purdue that you didn't get to that ball first, but Shante did.
Big time. If I would have picked it up, Breeze would have been going back on the field to win the game. But Shante gladly got it and finished the job.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great moment for Purdue.
I think my favorite Craig Terrill memory wasn't there like a fumble that he tried to pick up and score?
He did score. Michigan State, 2001.
Yep, I have a picture of that at home, actually.
I thought there was another one, though.
That was the fog game. The game that the first half was played like in complete. It was like 0-0 and a half, and he switched quarterbacks, right? Because Kyle Orton came in from Brandon Haynes.
But I did pick one up in the bowl game down in Orlando.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
It didn't work out well. I actually tried to throw it.
But that could have won the game.
I think I actually tried to throw it to Nico, and we got the ball, but we just didn't score. So I did my part.
There you go.
That was an amazing comeback. Obviously, would have been the greatest comeback in Purdue football history. But that experience was one. But as I recall, in 2001, the block kicked against Michigan State, which I think finished out the scoring that day. But what was it like getting in the end zone? These guys now got all these dances ready, which I know you can't. I don't know if back then in the NFL that you could, or in college football that you could do that. But had you been in the end zone before?
No.
Not even in high school?
Not even in high school.
Not even grade school as a fullback?
No, I was always had my hand in the dirt and was told to do one job. So, I've scored 2 touchdowns in my career. I scored against Michigan State, and I scored against the 49ers. Both fumble recoveries happened from about the 8-yard line. So I was glad, and the easy 8-yard line, not the opposite end. So I'm glad it was a short distance to travel. I remember, I think Landon Johnson made the tackle on that play where the ball popped out. And
off you
easy
went.
trip. I don't think I might have spiked it, which I think
Yeah.
spiking was illegal then, but I think I even spiked it before I started celebrating with my teammates.
Yeah, and I think that game clinched another bowl for Purdue at that point in time as well. So, assistant coaches, your position coaches, Randy Melvin was your position coach, right? Because Gary Emanuel coached the ends. Is that right?
I had actually a little bit of both.
They kind of jostled around. He had Hagen for a while.
I had Mark Hagan for my last years, but I had Randy Melvin and Gary Emanuel. I actually just saw Gary down at the Colts game a couple weeks ago. He's coaching defensive line there, but and then Mark Hagan was a great coach for me for several years there at the end of my career, and really grew me as a player, and through my junior and senior year.
And Mark is at
Texas
A&M, right, with Kevin Sumlin. I'd forgotten that he had ended up in that situation there.
You were part of some very good teams at Purdue. What made that whole thing work under that coaching staff? What made them successful?
I think the assistant coaches. Yeah, I think you can say they took that program a long ways. Actually, obviously Joe was Joe. He was very good at what he did. He was also very good at letting his assistant coaches coach their players, and he didn't micromanage that situation. He let Mark Hagan coach me. He wasn't stepping in, talking over him in any situation. So I think as players we felt comfortable in playing for our position coaches, and then that creating a whole as a team, piece by piece, we'd get a better product in the end. So, and guys believed in what we were doing. I mean, it was, I think we didn't create the successful, culture around the team. I think that was before I came here. It was kind of building already. You saw, obviously the 2 bowl wins there. Were it both Alamo Bowls, was that right? Or was it
2 Alamo.
Two Alamo Bowls. So you saw a winning culture, and Purdue was then thrust on the national stage. So I think it's if you can then get everybody else coming in, buying into that culture, I think creates that this kind of ongoing thing.
Question about Drew Brees, too, and that leadership in the locker room. You obviously, in your redshirt freshman year, you have a Drew Brees in there. What did you take from his leadership style? And then watching him in the NFL also, on being on the other sideline, you've been around quarterbacks and guys that lead locker rooms. What made Drew special from that standpoint, do you think?
I think you knew who Drew was going to be all the time. I think that's about great quarterbacks. I played a long time with Matt Hasselbeck in Seattle, who's still playing here in a couple weeks for the Colts. But you knew who Matt was all the time. You knew who Drew was all the time. He was that steadfast player. You knew he was going to give you everything. He was leading the team in all situations. I think when you look at leadership on those teams, I think our offensive line had a big part of that leadership standpoint. And Danny Hope was their coach and did a good job preparing them. But you had Matt Light and Chucky Jacoby and guys that just knew how to take care of business in college football and knew how to play. They were nasty, they were mean, but they're still just hard-nosed players, and that raises the overall competitiveness of a team.
Yeah.
It seemed like that team had great leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Just what was it about that team that kept everybody, kind of moving in the same direction?
I think it was you could say it was the competitive nature. I think within any program, if you create that sense of competitiveness, I was starting as a redshirt freshman because I started over a lot of older guys than me because I wanted to be in that situation, and they recognized that. And maybe some places wouldn't start a younger guy over a senior just out of seniority or just size or whatever it is. But I showed that I could perform in practice against our offensive line. So it gave me that opportunity to do it in the game, and just kept performing after that. So you create that throughout a whole team, that competitive nature where guys are there to win football games. We were friends. Everybody was friends. We liked each other in the locker room, and obviously everybody wasn't best friends as a football team. You have so many guys in there from different walks of life, but we all had that same goal, and we knew that what that goal was winning games and getting to bowl games and creating a good program. So that just raised everybody's play around the whole locker room.
Who was on the offensive line, especially early on in your career? Certainly the line of 2000, maybe one of the best in all time, and at Purdue. Who was the nastiest ones? The ones that you had to watch your back in terms of in practice, where you not say that they would do things that were illegal, but they might do some things to knock around a redshirt freshman. Who did you have to watch out for?
I mean, it really was a tough group of guys. With Chucky at center, obviously I played a lot. Chucky Okobe played a lot against him, being inside, being a defensive tackle. So he was a physical, tough player. Gene Murskowski, he was the nicest guy you'll ever meet, but man, it was as strong as can be and could knock you on your back. But those guys just had a sense of just who they were about them, and they carried that with them, and it brought your game up. So if you didn't bring your best every day, you were going to get knocked on your back.
Yeah, and that happened from time to time.
Yeah.
You talked about having good leadership on your team. Who was it when you were young who took kind of you under their wing, if there was anybody?
Great question. I'd say Brent Botts was an older defensive lineman on the team.
That you were playing in front. He was hurt, but you got to really play in front of him some. Too.
Yeah, he really was. He was hurt, and I got an opportunity there, and it really kind of showed me something from a leadership standpoint. Obviously, he could have just shunned me being a younger guy, taking playing time away from him, but he was a great teammate who also wanted to win football games and had been here through some rough years as well, and was excited about where the program was going. So a guy that kind of showed me the ropes and helped me out with what was going on.
Did you take that into your NFL because you were one of those guys in the 40s on the roster that you had younger guys that were trying to take your job? Did that have an impact on how you treated those young bucks that came in that were trying to steal your work?
Yeah, I think you treat everybody, you just try to be you as much as you can.
Yeah.
I think what I realized in the NFL was if I didn't perform, I was going to lose my job.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so much about what other people were going to do. So I knew if I got myself prepared and put the product on the field, and I could just be me to all my teammates and have good relationships there.
Yeah, and that's a big part of leadership.
The leadership Bots and others gave you, did you pay that forward to anybody? Mitrione maybe?
Well, Mitrione was older than me, so he was also one of the guys that was kind of showing me the way. I didn't follow.
Oh, he was older than you.
Yeah, he
You're
was.
right. I've got my defensive tackles all jumbled in my head.
Yeah,
my fault.
But Brent Grover came in, was
Grover.
younger than me.
Villarreal.
Great kid.
Yeah, Villarreal. Just guys that were great football players. But yeah, I tried to be that leadership role there for those kind of guys. Nick Hardwick was actually walked on, was a defensive lineman. I'm like, all right, well, you're going to be a great D lineman. Hang out here in the D line room. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to go play offense. And I was like, all right, good luck to you, kid. Whatever. We'll see if it works out.
Never heard from me again.
See if it works out for you.
And it did.
He did okay.
Yeah, he did. I always wonder when the Purdue guys meet, or you meet guys from, after a San Diego Seattle game or whatever, where you see those guys and you lose an emotional game. How fast does that dissipate? I mean, when you lose a tough game or you win a close game and you go to see your buddy across the field, is that gone like this?
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously it's a long season in the NFL and you want to win them all, but you see the guys that you've been friends with forever, and I think for a long time I think I had post-game pictures with all my former Purdue teammates, framed up and hanging on the wall. So it was just always good to see a familiar face because you knew how hard they were trying as well to succeed in football.
Yeah, and as like I said, a lot of pride among the Purdue football family about the guys. Unfortunately, it's maybe shrinking now in the NFL how many Purdue guys are playing, but it's an important fraternity to be a part of. Question now, looking, it's obviously been rough times for Purdue football of late, and as an alum, that presents its own challenges. What would be your message if you were in the locker room prior to tomorrow's game with Northwestern? What would you tell those guys in terms of what you need to do to get this turned around?
Yeah, I mean, the program is in a tough spot. I'd say from a player standpoint, every guy has to own it. And the film you putting out every single week is your resume as a football player and your resume as a team. So, you wipe everything else aside. You obviously listen to your coaches, but you don't worry about anything going on there, but you just focus on what you're doing as a player and what the product is you're putting on a field as a team. Because in the end, you're playing for the guys next to you. They want to win for the fans. I'm sure of it. They want to win for the alumni. I'm sure of it. They won't win for the coaches, but they want to win for each other more than anything else because those are the guys that you're working throughout the year with and doing such a hard job throughout the year with. That those are the guys you want to win for.
Yeah. Do you get the sense for how much things have changed for kids nowadays, in the sense that all the other things they deal with, whether it's the internet or or whatever, just the constant conversation about them, things like that?
It's an interesting time for sure, and I'm glad my recruiting experience was nothing like what it is today. I have a nephew that's being recruited, and it's just funny that, between social media and Twitter and that's the contact for coaches. I was lucky enough to open letters and handwritten letters and read them, and then have a coach come and talk to me face to face, and then you kind of know where you stand and you know who you are as a player. But it is tough because, I'm sure it's easy to believe you're something more than what you are, and it's important to know who you are as a player, know what you're good at and what you're not good at. So there's probably not a lot of people that, maybe there are a lot of people telling you what you're not good at on social media, but it's hard to know where you stand exactly right now.
All right, last couple of questions. The Craig Terrill workout regime, because you've been able to get yourself in very good shape after playing. What's been the key besides less calories in and maybe more workout? But what have you done to be able to do that?
Well, that's the worst part. Is during football I got to eat everything I wanted because I had to make weight, and now I don't get that luxury of you guys taking me lunch.
Which was good.
Yes, it was good, but it's really.
Those fries were good.
I try to train now just physically to feel good. I actually have a training facility on our farm there where I'm training some high school and college players, and would like to eventually maybe create a business out of it where, just training D linemen, kind of the way I did it, just swinging sledgehammers and flipping hay bales and stuff like that. So a different, kind of different type of training, but I felt like it was good for my career.
Yeah.
What about tractors? Do you push tractors?
You can, that works too.
Mike
Just 'cause
Allstott.
that sounds like a good idea.
Well,
It sounds like fun.
Yeah, Mike Allstott was the one that was pulling the cars and stuff in his time at Purdue. So that was there's some good rationale behind all that. Craig Terrill, thank you so much. What a pleasure, an honor actually, and
Sure.
we will look forward to staying in touch now that you're just down the road. That's even better. And I know that the Purdue football family, it's a very important thing to have its former heroes very close. So we'll look forward to seeing you around, I'm sure, several times down the road, and we'll bring just Brian and myself, we'll talk a little Purdue hoops. Yes, the Boilermakers open up the 2015-16 season tonight against North Carolina A&T, and we'll look forward to hearing what Brian has to say about that as well. So join us in a couple of minutes. We'll be back on Gold and Black Live.